Hi. I just want to say hi, and I'm so glad you could join me this afternoon for my show. I met a lady recently that due to her personal story of sexual abuse and healing, Beth has a heart for helping abused and exploited women, and I want you to meet her today. She's sitting here with me, and her artwork is sitting around us, blessing us today. And she's just a wonderful lady, and this is Beth. Say hi.
Hi. Hi, Jane.
Yeah.
It's good to be here. So
I'm so glad
thanks
you're
for
here.
the invitation, and it was really good to meet you in Minneapolis at the event.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good event.
It was, wasn't it?
Yes, a lot of people, a lot of open
turned out-
eyes.
yeah, everybody's eyes were open that night.
Yes, they were. So
it's
lots of good
beautiful.
stories being told.
Yes. Tell me about you. Let me ask you this. When you were a child growing up,
Yeah?
what was your childhood like? You know,
It's
just kind of tell me.
a long time ago, but
Yeah.
I grew up in New York City, and I also grew up in a family that was kind of codependent in lots of ways. Very angry parents, very shut down mother, and so the three of us were kind of fending for ourselves, and so we were very vulnerable in some ways to people around us.
I bet.
And you know what it's like when you're kind of raising yourself.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a dark home, and so we were out just playing in the neighborhood like you do when you're in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
And so what happened then is that there was a boy down the street that was maybe 11 or 12 that started abusing me and my sister when we were about 2.5 years old.
Oh, no.
So it started early.
Yep.
And then
Real early.
then there were other people within the same apartment building, and then it just continued to escalate. And so little by little, you feel like, you know, that's all that love is
It's all
about.
anybody, yeah, and all anybody cares about is sex with you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So the abuse started young, and there's no way to really talk about it.
No, no.
You think your
Because
parents know, so you just shut up about it.
Shut up about it. Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't talk about it because you're scared to talk about it.
Right, and you know, there was no. I don't remember real threats, but I know
No.
that I always felt like, you know,
Inside.
something would happen to me if I talked about it.
If you talked about it, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
so-
like a secret.
And secrets were to be kept, and so.
Dirty little secrets, as they call them.
Yeah, and so all through elementary school and into
Wow.
high school.
All
there-
through your all
Yeah,
your
on and
long
off.
life.
You know, the doctor.
Oh, my
A bus
God.
driver. You know, things like
Oh
that.
my
so,
God, you were sexually abused the whole time.
Yeah, well,
Basically, of your life.
Well, anytime that you were caught alone, it just felt like
This
you
is what
you
they
knew
want.
something was going to happen, and
Yep.
and it was right. Something
And
usually did.
you'd sense it.
Yeah, you do sense.
Well, that's
it.
one thing about us kids
Mm-hmm.
that are molested as children. We've got a strong sense.
Of
Don't you
what's-
think?
Yeah.
We've got a strong sense about what's going to happen next sometimes in our lives. Don't you
Well,
think?
you're always on the watch.
You're always,
too.
yeah, you're always,
And you're going, you know something, you know, you're always looking and
yeah, you're always
watching
wondering,
over your
yeah,
shoulder.
who's
seeing-
there, who's chasing me down the
Yeah.
street. No, I'm just kidding, but that's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
Well, and my father was very angry, so there were times when he threw things. And
Okay,
so,
that
so
was
you,
abusive too.
So mentally, emotionally, you're just kind of scared and shut
Scared.
down, and then
Aw.
and then you grow up like that, and then all of a sudden, then you're starting in your teen years trying to have relationships with the opposite sex, and so, you know, as that started happening, that was very
Yeah,
confusing.
That was
and
confusing.
so at the age of 13, I think, is when I
13.
met a boy and we dated for about 2.5 years, and that's probably where.
Kind of normal then.
No,
No, it was
abusive. That's where, extremely abusive.
Oh no.
So that's where probably a lot of my
my
abuse
God.
and emotional stress came from, was during that period.
Do you feel that you carried that abuse inside of you to this day? like most of us do.
Well, you know,
I mean, it's not maybe as strong since you're painting and
Yeah.
and this is how you release a lot of that feeling. Am I right?
And I didn't know that at the times that when I started to do this. So, over the years, it's just kind of developed. I started in about 1995 doing writing journals, and then I started drawing inside of them.
Did you?
And then realized that I did poetry, writing, and painting all in the same book. And then
you were blessed.
God blessed me.
Yeah.
He did.
Think about it.
And
It's
then
true.
then he asked me one day just to kind of open them all up and take a look at them. And then what I realized is that what I had drawn in one book was written in another book, and there was a poem in another book. And so I found out that I was having all these different conversations with God.
Well, sure.
And starting to heal because of that.
Sure.
And I
Thank God.
read so many books, because books became my friend, on how to get over anger, how to get over all sorts of different emotions, because I knew I had a lot of rage, and and dating, and then going to college, and then trying to date and then find somebody that you're going to marry. It's just
impossible.
You bring the stuff with you. You just do.
It's like that truck that's in back of you, like it's carrying all your goodies with you as you go down the street. You know how they say she came, but she had a baggage attached to her. I got a Mack truck, right?
I do.
You got a Mack truck, right?
It was pretty big.
He's like,
semi, 16-wheeler.
16-wheeler, I know what you mean.
And so...
can you accept this, honey? I don't know.
Well, he didn't know about it until probably 10 or 15 years into the marriage. Then he really knew.
Wow.
Because when we got married, you don't think those things are going to affect.
No.
Because all this happened before I was a Christian.
Right.
And so then when I became a Christian, it was one of those things like, it's in the past, so you don't have to deal with it.
Oh.
And so I didn't deal with it.
So you just
And then I got angry and angrier, and I didn't deal with it. And then, so when I was starting to have kids and everything, then I realized that I was really depressed. And so then we went and had some, I went to get some psychiatric help or testing. And then when my oldest was 2 years old, I was suicidal. Right. And, I never, the psychologist said, "Do you know your wife's suicidal?" And he looked at me and goes, "No." And I said, "Well, yeah, I am."
Well,
but
because you got post-traumatic stress disorder from all the abuse.
True, but did I know that was
no,
what it
you
was?
didn't know it.
No.
Oh, I know how you feel because you don't know it.
And so
it's like you could just go along the road and street and start crying, right?
Well, or
did you ever have shaking? Or, did you have that? I didn't have that, but I had the crying.
I had the shaking, and I had the nobody could come up behind me.
Because you'd be so scared.
Because if they approached me from behind, I would almost
I
would almost like punch
bang.
them. Yeah. So don't come
get
unawares
behind me, buddy.
because you do not want to get punched by me.
No,
Trust me.
Trust me.
No, you don't want that. So when my youngest was 2, we decided to do some of that, and so then I just started reading books on healing of the emotions, and 30 years ago there wasn't a lot around for that.
They didn't have the knowledge they have about now.
No,
today.
they don't.
No,
they don't.
They never knew.
Yeah.
They never. Well, they'd probably put us in the loony bin back in the 40, 50, 60 years ago.
Right.
70 years
dealing
ago.
with our emotions, but not dealing with our spirits.
Right, exactly.
And so then as I'm going through all these books and reading, then I'm realizing that I need a voice because I'm so angry. And then my husband didn't know what was going on, so it was getting really confusing. And then I think when I had my daughter, then things starting to come up.
It started coming out. And do you think you suppressed a lot of that?
Yes.
From when you were young?
Oh, yes.
So you didn't really bring it out until Even when your daughter came, then you started
No,
coming out? Or was it
yeah.
because she was a girl, do you think? Did you
Because
start
she was a
worried?
girl, then I started worrying about her.
Yeah, worried about somebody's
And
going to
then,
touch her.
And I didn't and I still didn't think I was angry over being abused, or that it's just because I was just angry.
It's just, you had a personality that was just, "Rrr."
Yeah, and grouchy and depressed,
Yeah.
and so I don't think it was probably until maybe when Kathleen my daughter was maybe 8 years old, when I started realizing that
Wow.
there was something that I
Really
needed
bad.
that I needed to deal with.
Talk about.
And so then I started, but I really wasn't talking yet.
Oh, you weren't talking
I don't.
yet.
I'm an extrovert and I talk a lot, but I wasn't talking about that stuff
Yeah,
because,
right.
well,
Because that's taboo.
well,
You don't wanna talk
when
about
you're
that.
in a church and you start talking about, you feeling like you're being raped or
Right.
things that are happening within your marriage or something like that, then if it didn't look pretty, people just kind of
Shunned
isn't
you.
that nice? And then kind of turned
nice.
away.
Can't see ya. Yeah.
And so there was no real talking to the people I thought that I could talk to.
Yeah,
And
isn't that always strange about that?
I don't think
Seems-
it's like that now as
I don't
much.
think it's no. I don't think so either now.
But I might be in a really unusual
Because I think
spot.
you and I could go to any church and they'd accept us to talk.
Probably more
Matter
so
of fact,
now.
I think we should
Yeah.
do that
That'd be fun.
in our travels.
Yeah, that would be good.
You and I should go to a church and talk about child molestation and what it does to
To the spirit
to
of the child.
spirit of the child and as an adult what it does to us and how we still carry. I still have the scars
Well,
and
I
always will.
There are some triggers, but then
Well, yeah,
because I'm married to a good man.
yeah,
Then my triggers have been reduced even more so.
that's wonderful. See, that's wonderful.
So that's been helpful. And so when Kathleen got like 8th grade, then things got even more escalated for me because I was getting really nervous about that. So
because she's 8.
right,
8th grade.
and so I was really good about giving her a voice and realized that I needed a voice myself.
Thank God.
And so then I started doing a little bit more reading on the impacts of sexual abuse and started reading books by Dan Allender, Jeanette Voigt, people like Diane Lamberg, all these people that had an idea on what sexual abuse was, but still not having a group of women to do that with.
Right,
And still not trusting women to talk
talk
like
about
this
it like
for.
we're talking about it. Yeah,
because
we both been there.
We've both been there,
We
but
both had
but
the
it's
same
like
thing happen.
who else would understand because nobody has understood before.
Nobody's understood
Why would
before.
they do it now?
Yeah,
But
you'd be surprised how many people you're going to touch from this TV show.
Well, like you've touched through your book and and the TV show too.
The TV show, the people out there are going, oh my gosh, look at this, and I have been going through this, and she's sitting at home by herself looking at the TV and watching us, and now she's going to say, I'm going to speak out.
Need to
I'm
start
gonna
speaking out, even if it's just writing.
Write it down.
Or drawing.
Write
or,
it down.
Or doing a piece of poetry,
right,
a piece
something.
of music, something to get it out.
Get it out.
And get it expressed.
I had to write a book because I couldn't, there was just something inside me. Unless I wrote that book, I was just going to go bonkers.
Oh, yeah,
just
explode. Just explode.
Just explode, yeah, implode or whatever. And so I found Patty Wicklund. She wrote my book, and it was like such a healing experience to actually, it was 3 years of my life it took her to write the book. It was 3 years.
Well, just
And
think of how
boy.
much of your life is in that book, though. It was
Scary.
It was a lot of stuff to get out.
It's pretty scary
Yeah.
stuff. And to think that children are going through that out there today.
And thinking it's normal.
And think it's normal. You know, like I said to you before, that's when he would say to me, my stepdad would say, oh, that's how Daddy loves you. Well, that is so disgusting.
It's so
It's
not
so
normal.
disgustingly
It's so not normal.
horrible.